Welcome back to Sports Day on this Friday evening, our final show for the year. Well, it's not too often we talk fencing, Jim, on Sports Day. However, I always love a story where international athletes come to Melbourne and train, especially when they're Olympic athletes. That's exactly what our next guest is. Taís Rochel is a Brazilian champion fencer. She was there in Rio de Janeiro in 2016 and no doubt hopes to be in Tokyo in 2020. She joins us tonight on Sports Day. Taís, welcome to the program. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you for your invitation. It's a pleasure to be here online.
Now, firstly, what made you come to Australia and more in particular, come to Melbourne in April of this year to continue with your fencing as opposed to training back in South America?
Actually, after Olympics, Rob from my club, Black Lords in Burwood, he invited me to come here as a coach because I met him in Frascati, an Italian club that I was practicing. It was one of the best clubs in the world. So the Australian team was practicing there, and I was practicing there as well. So Rob said, Taís, after Olympics, if you want to have some training camp in Melbourne, you are welcome. After Olympics, the Olympics, I contacted him, and I asked, could I go to Melbourne? Do you have something for me? And he said, of course, Taís, come here, and it will be nice for us because you had an amazing experience in Rio, and you will be nice to have you here. So I came. But for me it was a surprise because I could never imagine to be here as a coach, and so for me everything's new. But in the end I'm really happy. The club is amazing. I've been in Canberra because the head coach, Antonio, he invited me to be part of the Australian team as a coaching as well. So I had many opportunities in Australia, so I'm really happy.
Taís, so while you're here, can we convert you to an Australian? Because looking at your record, 10 Brazilian championships, 4 South American championships. Can we get you on our side? We'll give you a quick visa, a quick citizenship to be an Australian and compete for us in the next Olympics.
Well, for me, for me it's a little bit hard to practice and work in the same time, but I was talking about with my friends and my boyfriend that maybe I should restart because who knows. But this year in particular was important for me to take some rest, because to qualify to Olympics was really hard. So this year I had to organize my life, but now I restart to practice, and probably I will try to go to. Probably, I don't know, I'm not sure, to Tokyo, because the Brazilian team is getting stronger too, and the girls are getting stronger, so I have to restart to compete, I have to restart everything, and now I'm 34 years, so I don't know if I actually, not patient, because I think the fencing, you don't need to be so young to be part of the team, but I think that I should decide, because as I said, I already been the training camp, Australian training camp, so I have to decide if I want to be athlete or coach, But I will see. Maybe I can do both.
And you're an absolute star in the foil. And just for people listening, there's obviously the épée and the sabre. Why would people in Australia, because we love our athletics here in Australia, why should people maybe take up the sport of fencing?
Well, fencing, I'm not the better person to say it because I'm totally in love for fencing, because for me it's one of the most complex sport because it's not only about your body, you have to be good strategy to fence, and you have to do plans. So it's really interesting sport because it's not only, I have to be strong or fast. You have to control yourself, so it's beautiful. But I started with when I was 6 years old, so I'm 28 years fencing.
Taís, how popular is fencing in Brazil? Because it doesn't have a huge following here, and I've known people who have been fencers and they've often had to go off to Europe if they've wanted to make it to an Olympic level. But how popular is it in Brazil, and did you get all the courses you needed there?
Well, for us it was a really good surprise after Olympics because the fencing place at the Olympics was amazing. So it was full of people. So after Olympics, it's not popular like Italy or Russia, whatever, but it's growing up. And what I want to do is the same what we are doing in Brazil. We want to develop fencing in Australia as well. But I think that is now it's start to grow up as well.
Taís, it's wonderful to have you here and particularly coaching our Australian fencing team and looking ahead to Tokyo in 2020. Just before I let you go, I was fortunate enough to be in Rio last year for the Olympic Games, and I thought Rio did a magnificent job. However, since then, I've seen a number of photos of Rio de Janeiro, and it doesn't seem as though the legacy of the Games is to the degree that was initially promised by organisers. Are you disappointed to see in your home country some of those locations where events held now virtually ghost towns?
Yeah, it's sad because, as for example, in Barcelona, Seoul, you can see that the legacy was really important for the city. And unfortunately, in Rio, we could see a lot of corruption. But whatever, the games were beautiful, and I hope that things change, because what's really sad, it's really sad to see what's happening with the structure in Rio, but whatever. I think that they are trying to change, and I'm following the news about Brazil, but we cannot do a lot of things now.
Do you think, in hindsight, it was a negative for Rio to host the Olympic Games, or do you think ultimately for Brazil, despite the economic climate, to have hosted an Olympic Games, that preeminent sporting event, will ultimately be a great thing for the history of the country?
Oh, actually, for me, it was great because I could see all Brazilians really happy and really proud about Olympics. But in the same time, you can see what's happening. But it's negative. But in the same time, we are trying to fight against corruption. So we could see so many corruption that now we say no, we have to stop it. It happened happened in the World Cup, so we have to stop it. So I don't know if you have this expression, but we had to do 2 steps back to give one good step forward, So I think that
perfectly worded.
Yeah. So in Brazil we have the expression, I don't know about here, but I think that was, of course, it's not nice to see the corruption, but in the same time, it was important to happen to say, no, we cannot have corruption anymore. We have to change, and it's changing. I know that the situation in Brazil is not good. That's the reason that I'm here as well, but I'm proud of my country, and I'm proud of the games. It was absolutely amazing. And I know that what's happening is not good, but I'm sure that was a beautiful event, and we cannot change it, And so I'm proud of the Olympics in Brazil, definitely.
Yeah, you should be proud because the Brazilians couldn't have been friendlier, Tyson. All up, I thought it was a wonderful Games. Yeah, there were a few issues, but that was more to do with organisers, as you say, and certainly not with the Brazilian people. They couldn't have done more to make certainly the global population feel welcome. It's wonderful to have you here in Melbourne. I'm so glad that we could catch up for a chat, and hopefully as the Tokyo 2020 Olympics approaches, we can chat again and just see how our Australian fencing team is coming along. Thanks so much for your time on Sports Day.
Thank you so much for your invitation, and I hope to talk to you soon, if it is not as an athlete, but as an Australian coach, maybe. Why not?
Absolutely. Taís Rochel, Brazilian champion fencer, now coaching our Australian fencing team, Jim, and a terrific story. She said because of the economic climate in Brazil, wanted to get out, got an invitation to come here to Australia, and she seems really set up, and I can only imagine that her students and potential future Australian Olympians would be loving training under her tutelage.
Yeah, that's absolutely fantastic. And going back on her sort of career stats, 20 national championships, 10 Brazilian championship wins, and 4 South American. Get the best teachers around for our own athletes.
More of Sports Day to come right after this.